Hi and hello watch fans, and welcome to another edition of The Real Time Show with me, your friendly neighbourhood watchmaker, Rob Nuds. Today I am joined by Andrea Furlan, one half of Furlan Marri, one of the industry's most exciting new brands. Although I say new, it feels like you've been around forever now. Andrea, thank you for joining me today on what is a very exciting day for the brand. How are you doing?
Hello, Rob. Thank you for having me here. We'd love to tell everyone part of the story behind the brand and also personal stories.
That's good to hear. So yours is a brand that is founded on friendship and shared vision and a desire to bring the watch community something that you thought was lacking there. But tell us about you first. Where do you come from? What's your background like? What's your training? And what's your career before Furlan Marri?
My birth was in Geneva, Switzerland. My origin are I'm coming from Italy and Spain. Italy from Venezia. So it's the Furlan means the name from Venice, Italy, and I did all my studies in Geneva, but was passionate about watches, cars as well, for cars design. When I was very young, so I started sketching cars when I was like 8, 10, something like this. And then at 15 years old, I was more into the watch because my grandfather was wearing a Rolex, and he never left his Rolex from the wrist apart from giving me the Rolex to sketch. So I was able to learn to touch the product, and this was super helpful for me. So I was there like every 2 weeks to start sketching his watch and the details. I was with the loop, etc. And step by step, my father also teach me how to draw by hands. So he was a technical designer, if you want. Then he did something else, but yeah. So basically, it was the starting point, or this kind of cars dream and watch dream since I was very young. And I did not start with basic studies, like basic design studies. I was more into a classic studies. It's called college in Geneva, Switzerland. So it's basic school. It was more a challenge for me. So it was my vision, my path was designing product, but I wanted to also experience and learn about everything around. So I did mathematics in German. I did biology, chemistry, etc. And after that, it was 15, 16 years old. No, I was maybe 20 years old. I was doing the university. So I did the ECAL university called ECAL in Switzerland, which is industrial design. So it was not watch, not cars, because it was not this type of design. So I wanted as well to take that as a challenge to starting to draw a product more industrial, like even ski, snowboard, lamps, couch, etc., chairs, and it was super helpful for me for the future. So it was a huge base and background to then focus on watch, because it's a product at the end, and I wanted to experience many things around. And the ECAL school was very helpful. We started with graphic. So graphism, photography, art history lesson. We did cinema, we did typography, so font design, a lot of things that helped me, even 3D rendering, that helped me. Now I see that it helped me a lot all the day, the everyday work.
It's very interesting how you and a lot of the younger, more talented, and I would certainly say more exciting designers in the industry have this shared background in industrial design. you're not the first, and I'm sure you won't be the last to come over from having a broad overview of other products and how to make them work and apply that to watch design. What do you think the main benefits of having turned your eyes outwards from the industry are? Do you think that it helps from a technical perspective more, or is it more of an aesthetic benefit?
For me, I was not aware of the potential and the help it will bring for me. But as you might know, it's very expensive also to start a business now, even before, but now with the competition, etc. If you want to do if you want to have design, if you want to make just a photography of a project, just to even experiment things, it's super expensive. And this, I think, it helped us a lot because you, as a background, you can do photography, you can experiment a lot, you design, so you learn as well technical stuff. You are not like a engineer now, but you will learn how to assemble things, how to the proportion, the light, how it goes on a product when you do the 3D. So I think it's money perspective. Yeah, it's super helpful for them if you want to start something. And even if you don't want to start something, I think I still think that industrial design, product design is the way to have like a general background and super helpful insight about the industry, and then you focus on your passion. But I was looking at to do art school, like watch art school, watch design only. But I was like, okay, maybe I missed something because it's too much focus on what I want to do. So I want to experiment many things before doing my passion. But of course, in the mind, I was always sketching, watch, etc. Yeah, I think it's super helpful from if you want to start something, and also if you don't want as a personal personally, if you want to grow, well, it's something to think about.
So what are you like personally away from the brand? Like, what are the things you do that get you excited? What gives you passion in your private life? Do you have hobbies? Are you a daredevil? Do you like to pursue artistic pursuits? Do you like nature? What is it that gets you going?
Before doing my all this kind of design school, etc., I did like 12 years of pianos, and also I did a lot of athletics. So 800 meters was my distance. Yeah. So I did until the Olympic Games, so Youth Olympic Games. I did that, and some multiple Swiss champion as well. So it was really helpful for me as a competition view, because it helps you a lot to for the stress, even on a project. So even piano to play in front of people, you need to prepare the project before the musical sheets you want to play. You need to learn, you need to experiment, you need to have a vision, and you need to it helps so much for what I do now, as so I can better have a better stress, etc. I can also I can organize better and optimize better the stress, the everyday project going, and even the sport helps a lot for the competition, the good competition, not a bad one.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, that healthy sort of competition that keeps people interested but doesn't cause anyone too much strife. But what's your personal best over the 800 meters?
1 minute 50 seconds. Yeah.
So you competed in the Youth Olympics, but you didn't go as far as the Senior Olympics. What stopped you?
School side, because they told me, the school people, they told me, yes, we don't have like in the US, you have like studies, but also you can do sport. It doesn't exist in Switzerland except for some financial school, economic school. So it was super sad for me. I do train myself like now again, but only for me. But if you want to perform, etc., it was every day. it's impossible with even the piano, impossible. So yeah, it was quite sad, but at the end, so you need to also live. So I knew also that 800 meters was quite hard to leave.
You mean it's not the sport that attracts the most attention? It's a very niche track and field sport. And I mean, just for anyone that doesn't know, the world record for the 800 meters is 1 minute 40 seconds, 0.91, held by David Rudisha of Kenya, set 11 years ago. So, I know that every second counts for a lot on the track, but you really, in real terms, were pretty close to running the fastest time ever, Andrea. That would have been pretty cool.
Yeah. What's super interesting to see that in the athletics, if you run like just 1 meter on the right or 1 meter on the left, it will change totally on 800 meter or even 200 meters. So you need to. There is a strategic things to put in place, etc. So the first lap is quite fast. You don't see anything really. But then the second lap, you need to judge people. The people on the right maybe will start running so fast, but maybe he will be like the rabbit, and he will first be the first, and then someone else will just follow. Sometimes it was like this. Sometimes two people blocked you to not pass, so you need to slow down to go on the right on the exterior and to run even more. So just 1 meter from the right, it makes you a dozen of meters at the end. So it was also interesting, this kind of strategy to put in place.
Was that the part of it that you found the most interesting, and was it the part you were best at?
No. For me, it was interesting to have in mind, but the most things, it was the speed, the feeling of the speed. It was super interesting. All the people who are there to see you, and you to do your best, you give your best. This was one of the best feeling.
Very interesting. I'm a huge fan of track and field. I had no idea that you'd had such a amazing career prior to becoming one of the most talked about watchmakers in the industry. So thank you for sharing that, because I think that the athlete's mindset, and like you said, competition for competition's sake rather than winning at all costs, is a very interesting and healthy thing to carry into business. And talking of business, you have started one of the more recognizable businesses in recent years with your friend Hamad Al Marri. Now, how did you two get to know each other, and where is your crossover in this business?
Just before that, I wanted to just add something that the time when you start something, when you start a new sport, or even for me athletics, you make, like, for example, 2 minutes, 800 meters, your first time, and then you go down and down and down, and the more down the more close you come to your record, the more complex it is, the more difficult it is, and then that's why the details, etc. will. So every day you change the details, it will makes you better. So I can make a parallel with the watch industry for me, and what I do every day is, like, every day you change just a little things, you work on the details, because it's already nice, but you want to do even more. So yeah, I think there is a parallel between that. First you start with something, and then you narrow down to the perfection that you will never arrive, but you strive for perfection. And okay, but then Ahmad, I met Ahmad when I was with Dominique Renault. So after the design school, I was employed by Dominique Renault, was the founder of Renault and Papi, co-founder. I will explain better that later. But at that time, I met Ahmad, was in Geneva at an auction house. And then we spoke together. He was also interested with the Dominique Renault project. So we started together to talk, and he was really in that kind of creativity also, like art. We had a lot of discussion about art, architecture, design, so it was really nice. And he drew as well really good at the iPad, so really like in an artistic way. So it helped us also every day on the design process. So he's there from the beginning of all the discussion, the process, and giving ideas as well, inspiration. And then we talk about that because he has this kind of collectors, collectible watch collectors world. So he was into that, and the stories behind watches, behind the high watches. So yeah, it was super interesting to talk about that. And then we just talk many years because I was working at that time. And after 4 years, I left in China to live there and to see to work as a consultant for big groups like mass production groups, also e-commerce, digital e-commerce brands. So it was interesting for me to make a parallel between high-end watch industry, like really high-end. With the mini chrono, it was more research and development in the high-end watch industry, and the parallel with the mass production. And I thought when I was in China, I was thinking like there is so much to do, so much to give also to people in terms of details, in terms of things, and the power of the mass production is huge. So if we can mix a little bit of those both worlds, it can be interesting. And with Hamad, we talk a lot, and then we started to think about the project that made the Furlan Marri.
So far, what's your favourite model that you've produced? Of all the pieces that you've put out into the world, and with all the pieces that have met with such great acclaim, which one is your personal favourite, just aesthetically?
Aesthetically, I love the Nero Sabbia, which is the black sand in Italian. So it's the Mecha Quartz with only one counter, because I didn't see the other Mecha Quartz movement of the market with only one counter. So I think it was kind of like this kind of mono-pusher, one counter inspiration with the Mecha Quartz price and also thickness. Because why we choose Mecha Quartz movement? It's first, it was super interesting to tell people that the history of watchmaking, Mecha Quartz watch, so mechanical quartz watch, were invented in Switzerland, but also in Japan, quite at the same time, as I could read in the archives. And in Switzerland, it was Le Coultre and Piguet, and in Japan, it was Seiko. Then Seiko took the lead on the market, and obviously the Mecha Quartz now movement, it's only Seiko. Basically, it's only Seiko who do that. The chronograph Mecha Quartz I talk about, Swiss people, they like Breitling, they use the Mecha Quartz, and I think IWC, but it was during the quartz crisis, just after the quartz crisis, the Swiss watchmaker wanted to have like this kind of mechanical chronograph feeding with the quartz that was in at that time. So and it was super interesting as a movement, as a story to tell, but also but the price. It's super interesting. You can have a simple movement. It's the thickness. You can make a really thin case with this kind of movement. So it's interesting in a lot of ways. And we will continue this story for sure. This movement as a Mecha Quartz line. It will be an interior line. And yes, I think there's much more to do with this movement. I try to pitch also to this movement to the Swiss groups, like the big Swiss groups, to make a Swiss-made Mecha Quartz, because it was that at that time. But for now, it's not their first their urgence, So I hope in the future.
That would be amazing to see a Swiss-made Mecha Quartz movement back on the market. I didn't know about the Le Coultre early one, but if you can do that, I mean, that's going to be a game changer, surely, because one of the criticisms of quartz-only brands and a brand like yours using quartz for some pieces is that you can't get them entirely Swiss-made, but that would be fascinating.
Swiss-made for me, Swiss-made for me is important, but also we need more transparency the brands, because people now they always they told me, yeah, can you just what is Swiss made for you, etc. And basically it's a 60.4 I think percent of the watch price. So we need to explain that yes, Swiss made means something, but depending the project, if the project is the movement are going from Japan or China or etc., doesn't mean anything to ship them like thousands and thousands of watch and components in Switzerland, then to assemble, to not have the Swiss made things because it's made in Japan, and then to ship back to the customer. So just to say it's assembled in Switzerland. So it's not not our vision. The vision is depending the project, we will optimize that. So Mica quartz are made there. We have Swiss made, we have Swiss movements, so we assemble in Switzerland, so it makes sense to do that. But of course, it can be super nice in the future to have a Swiss made Mica quartz for sure. But also the fact that the Chinese people and the Japan people, they have so much experience in that movement means a lot for us, because we have almost zero returns, because they know about that movement. They know how to do the center axis also for the chronograph, because there is a huge force, torque force. So we need to know. They told me, okay, you should do that. From our experience, the chrono is like this, etc. So yeah, they had it made sense, you know.
So just for our listeners that maybe aren't as familiar with the way that these Mica quartz movements work, so they are effectively keeping time using a regular quartz module, but they have this mechanical gear train, which means that the seconds hand steps at a much faster rate than you would expect in a normal quartz watch. So the thing is, when you reset this chronograph hand, there's a huge amount of force going through that central column, and if the tolerances aren't correct, then the hand can move or slip on the central post. So having experts and people that know how to set up these watches is really, really important, I think. And so far, I've never heard any bad things said about the way these watches are put together. So very, very well done on that front. Another thing to notice is that you have so far all closed case backs. Now, this is stylistically congruous. It makes sense with the aesthetic of your watches to have a closed case back, because it echoes an era from which I'm sure the majority of the inspiration is drawn. But also, at the moment, Mica quartz chronographs, or modules, shall we say, aren't particularly attractive to look at. Do you think that if you were to, shall we say, ignite the rebirth of Mica quartz production in Switzerland, you would also push for there to be like higher levels of finishing on those movements too, so you could open the case back?
Yes, yeah, for sure. I really want to do like a perlage finish, etc. We can do that on the Mica quartz Japan, but I mean, we need to rethink about everything, and this is huge in terms of budget, etc. To produce. People will not be that. It will be years and years to change all the machines. So impossible for now. But what we did and why we chose this piece is that, yeah, the most important thing we wanted to do is make those Mica quartz where the thickness. So we have a 11.3 millimeter thickness with the double dome sapphire crystal. So it's like it's even more. We can do 10, I think, but yeah, with the double dome, etc. We have quite a thin case, and this we can't have this thickness. We cannot have with the mechanical chronograph from today on the mass production area, the mass production movement. Celita, ETA, well now you can't, but Celita and other, it's more like 13, 14 millimeter case instead of 11.3 or 10, 11. Impossible. And we are not like Patek or Rolex, but so we cannot like invest on our own production line and or in-house movements. And also this, it's heavy expense to have this, because then you have to think about who will the after sale service components worldwide. You have to think about who will who will assemble and reassemble your watch. So it's not only the beauty of the movement, but all around.
Yeah, that is something that's often forgotten when it comes to designing the very, very best of type. And I think that consumers need to remember that it's not just about making the watch, it's also about maintaining it. And if you make that investment in creating something new, then you have to make sure you've got spare parts to match, because even though a customer, I'm sure, would be thrilled with the aesthetic of what you could produce, if you weren't able to repair it when the time came, then that wouldn't be very good at all for your brand. Now, let's talk slightly about the mechanical watches that you released not too long ago. And then we'll feed into exactly why you're on air with us today, because you have some very exciting new news. But let's talk about the mechanical side of things. Why did you go mechanical at all?
The main vision at Furlan Marri was to have three lines, if you want, three collection line. So we wanted to have the Mecha Quartz line, then a mechanical line, then what we will talk about, a technical line. So it was more to have like a 360 degree company or brand where everyone can have what they want, what they search, but also they are not afraid to have one Mecha Quartz line with the technical line, and all the collection together, they quite match. So we put the same attention to details and same attention to the finish. If it's a Mecha Quartz or a technical line, inside the Mecha Quartz case, you can see there is perlage finish. Even if it's closed case back, people will maybe never see that in their life, but there is little things of the past inside, like you can see on all the vintage watches. We wanted to really stick to what the case makers from the past made. This was the main reason. Then I think I lost the why a mechanical? Yeah, so mechanical watch, because we had time to think about which movement we wanted to begin with, and there was this kind of little company called La Perret, which is a super interesting company because it's so ETA movement. You pretty can't have the movement now, and then there is Celita, also Soprod, and the other. But really, La Perret, it's interesting. They do quite a really nice movement, thin, and the balance wheel is very symmetrical. It's at 6 o'clock, so it's very interesting to work on it. And we took the best execution you can have, so people can also see as a through case back, can see the movement and the finish we wanted to do. And why we did as also mechanical, because we wanted to launch an experience where people can assemble their watch and live with the watch on the wrist. So it was this kind of between, there is a brand, a company called Initium in Geneva, and we partner with, because it's, I think, one of the first time that you can go in a boutique or in our showroom and you can say, I want to assemble this watch, or I want to assemble that watch. And then we make a 2 to 3 hours lessons with the watchmaker. There is a drink or croissant in the morning, etc. And you assemble your watch. You see what's inside the watch. You learn about watchmaking, and then you can see the perlage. You can see the finish with the attention to details we bring. And you assemble your watch. You live with the watch on the wrist, and then it's yours. And then I think it's good because also it will make a souvenir of with you on the product. It will make a connection, more in-depth connection. So you will not be able to, you will not want to resell, the watch a little bit. In our level, it's important as well to think about that for the future. I mean, because we see a lot of after-sale, aftermarket, etc. piece. So we also need to bring something a little bit more connected to the product. So we found that interesting with the mechanical line.
That is interesting that you identify that as an important part of your brand building strategy, that you want to inspire an emotional connection between the wearer and the product, so that they don't move on from them. But why do you identify it as being a problem? I can certainly understand it if it's a case of extremely limited series, like turned around at an incredibly high premium. But in general parlance, it's good for a young brand when their models are selling well on the secondary market because it shows trust.
It's not really important at our level, but it helps a lot of also the brand really. But it was more to make a connection between the product and more than this kind of after sales question, because it doesn't. It's not like it helps more than it's bad. So yeah, obviously it's good for at all levels.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, everybody's got their opinion on it, and you've seen it happen with other brands going through a similar trajectory as yours, where it's been the object of criticism by people that haven't been able to buy the watches the first time around and get frustrated at the prices that they go for on the secondary market. But over time, it seems like it has stabilized and the secondary market is a bit more realistic. But each brand has to go through their own development phase, I think, when it comes to that.
We have only 2 years of company, only 2 years, and it was super weird to see that kind of super huge price, like multiplied by 5 on a makeup quartz. For me, I don't understand, but it has stabilized now, for sure. And of course, what we want to do in the future is also how to help also the people who will assemble the watch, but we will release, for example, a watch collection that is only available to assemble. So it's kind of nice also to really participate in the experience and not to say, oh, I will assemble this watch in 1 year or in 6 months. We will have some special edition to assemble, that is available only for assembling. It's quite interesting as well to say, to identify some of the watch on our collection.
Yeah, I think it's a really, really clever idea. Actually, something very novel and interesting to hear the motivations behind it. I have been in these classes when I've assembled watches as part of a day course, shall we say, like so people can get a taste of what it's like to be a watchmaker. And even though the watch itself at the end of the day is maybe not something that I would have gone out and bought or something that I particularly covet in my collection, I do still have it because I built it. And so I suppose the proof is in the pudding. So going back to this initial launch that you had, I've noticed on the journalistic side of things that you were able to establish a great rapport with journalists, and journalists were all, I think, not just quietly impressed, quite vocally impressed by the initial product. But do you think that it was the product itself that really got journalists on board, or do you think there was something about your communication strategy that played a big part in that? Because I know a lot of new brands, when they approach journalists, they get the door slammed in their face. So how did you prize it open?
I don't really know the answer, because when I started the Kickstarter, we had no marketing budget. We made that without any marketing budget. So it was all organically. Even the Instagram, we started to build the community on Instagram. We started to talk with collectors because the collectors at that time were our ambassadors. So if they validate something, they are followed by a community that also follow them. So we identify collectors that also wanted to give honest impression and honest critics about the project, because this is super important. If we show a watch to someone, we need their honest critics, bad or good. It's always super helpful for us to improve. And thanks to that, I think they talk to their community, and inside their community that there are also journalists, people from the press, and then we just sent like a press kit. We printed a newspaper, like a printed newspaper. It was our press kit, and we give them a watch to review. And if they wanted to talk, they talk. If they didn't want, they just make us a feedback, So it was more in this kind of way. And they saw that we are not like coming from I don't know, we are not seller like pushy like this. We just talk freely, and it happens basically. So I can't even explain the why it's like this, but I think people are quite, they were honest, and they helped us really now without this money, because we had no money at that time. So it was really honest, I think.
I think you did a really good job, and I remember getting the newspaper and being quite impressed with the quaintness of it in a way. There was a real genuineness to you and your approach, and although that does count for a lot, because that is the way to do it, with that kind of humility. When you're a new brand, you go out to journalists, get a lot of watches that they don't have time to review, passed over their desks or through their hands. But that attitude did stand out. But what stood out really, I think, for me, was the product. Like, it's an exceptionally well designed and beautifully brought to life idea. It was kind of like the golden age of Patek Philippe, but back with a Mecha Quartz at an affordable price, with basically nothing that you could fault it on in terms of build quality. Even the strap, which, was probably one of the weaker elements, all things considered, was far better than you would expect for a €500 watch. So how did you do that? How did you find the right suppliers that understood your wishes and were able to realize them?
So I lived in China about 1 year as a consultant, and I had also brands there to make their 3D renderings, to also feedback with the supplier, etc. But then I get back to Geneva, came back again to see there and to select the supplier I wanted to work with, and to see by my eyes. Because there in China, Apple, BMW, almost everything comes from there. Even Swiss big group, they are there. They have their own entities there, or some of them. So I wanted to really see and to select, because when you go on a beautiful website and you see beautiful machine, etc., sometimes, and most of the times, in China or maybe Japan, I don't know, but it's not the reality. I saw people who polished case on the floor, and then they throw back the case like this on a box. And this was also for the brands, the Swiss and the watch brands. And some of the supplier, they are really, it was super clean. It was super nice. They work like with I never see that even in Switzerland. Sometimes it's but it was this kind of parallel as what I was searching. And we I think we selected the good ones, and now they follow us since the beginning. So we didn't change. Even for the technical line, we didn't change, because if it's made there or there or there, but me, I really want to search for a good crafted case as well. So yes, Swiss people also can do this, but I was doing some budget test, etc. And that price point, I couldn't make the Mecha Quartz line impossible to make in Switzerland like this, like with all these kind of details. You have curved hands, domed. You have all the brushed buckle, the tastitondi, the engraved pressure like this. It's I am really impressed with the quality of that, and the double dome sapphire crystal with 5 layers of anti-reflective and 1 layer of anti-fingerprints. It's also something that you add to the final price. And yes, the straps are made in Italian leather. We use also French leather from very good company in France. And then we propose that as well. We will propose that separately on the website, because a lot of people, they actually changed they use our strap for their other watches from other brands. So they're like, they like this kind of softness of the strap. So yeah, I think it's a good way to do. And for the inspiration of the case, yes, you are totally right. And it was more, the story was to say, what if we were there with those watch case maker from the past, like 50 years ago? What if we met them at that time, and where we stand today, where we would be today? If we would be lost, or we would be next to the others. So, but this kind of inspiration. And the case maker we started with was François Borgel, who made the case. He was the case maker for Patek, for other big brands. You can see also this kind of engraved pusher that we use. You can see them on the Roger Dubuis case, on the Frank Muller case, from the past, if you see the archives. So it's those kind of details from the craftsman that we wanted to propose to the public, because sometimes those kind of watch with those details are super so expensive. So we want to propose for many of them these kind of details. And it will be super interesting when we launch the technical line, because it will make a parallel between the research and development, the watch research and development with patents, with this kind of supplier I have.
So we're hearing that it's connections that make all the difference, and having those connections and establishing them and maintaining them and having a transparent line of communication between you and suppliers is very important for what you've done so far, and will be even more important for the next step, which we'll talk about now, the technical line, to which you've alluded on more than one occasion. You are launching today, in fact, I believe, as this podcast goes live, your announcement for participation in Only Watch. Now, tell us all about this project. Let's get us excited. Let's get ready for some big bids, because this could be something very special indeed.
It's super important for Ahmad and me. And we were, as you know, I work with Dominique Renaud, who was the founder of Renaud and Papy. And Renaud and Papy were I don't know in English, it was the movement manufacturer. And they developed a lot of high complication for the biggest brand, like all the Audemars Piguet, high complication, even Richard Mille, high complication, Cartier, etc. Renaud and Papy did the development for some of the project, and from Renaud and Papy, like Dominique Renaud, the old employees of Renaud and Papy were, I think they were the Grunfeld brothers. There were the Carole Forestier from Cartier. A lot of people were coming from there, like Andrea Streller as well. So this independent watchmaker, they came from there. So it's a super important moment of the industry at that time. It was in the 80s, 90s. And Dominique Renaud was, he's a watch inventor more than, for me, it's more like an inventor in the watch industry. And we work together now, today, with Julien Tixier, a young watchmaker, super talented. He also do everything by himself in his atelier near La Vallée in Joux. He is making even the axis of the movement. Some of the axis he made himself with the machine he has. So it's super interesting to start with this huge project for us and for Only Watch today. We talked with Luc Petabino, the founder of Only Watch. It was 1 year ago, 1.5 years ago. It was too early at that time, for sure. But we talked, and the feeling was super good between him and our team. So he called me one day and said that, yes, I really want you the next Only Watch. And at that time, I was super happy and also super stressed because we were like 1 year far from from today. So in a few months, we needed to make something, an idea. So instead of also doing something, a mechanical movement, and something nice as a dial or simple for me, like, okay, we wanted to challenge ourselves and to do something very huge for the brand, but for only what we want to also, we just had the PhD watch horological revelation price. So it means something for us. It's not just a price. We need to also prove that we can start from a young brand, and we can also patent things. We can also invent and also propose something for the market. And this was the starting point. And Dominique Renault, when he first he started the Renault and Papi company, he had he presented Perpetual calendar pocket watch to the everything done by hand, engraved by hand. He proposed that piece to Gunther Blumlein, who was at that time at longer at IWC and then longer in Zonet, and he was, I think, the CEO at that time. But he said to Dominique and Giulio Papi, "Okay, I give you your first project." So it was this piece who started everything for them. And it's super interesting because we do today a perpetual calendar for Niwatch. So it's a good story to tell as well, because Dominique, he started with this piece and he had like 35 years of experience in high complication, in that particular complication as well. That's why today we launched a perpetual secular calendar, but not just a simple perpetual calendar. It's something really simple to assemble, really simple to control and to adapt. And I think it's the most simple on the market for now, with a total piece of 25 piece in the module. So you have like the DNA of Furlan Marri is to use also movement from the market, because we also want a fair price for the purpose for the people. So that's why we use the J100 from La Jouperet, the one we use for the mechanical line. And it makes sense because also we can make a parallel between lines, the technical, not the mechanical, but mechanical and technical. We can also share the movement together, and it's good for us in terms of the financial projection as well. So we use this movement and we developed for the occasion. In a few months, we developed with Dominique and Julien Tixier a module, and that module has 25 pieces, and the secular module, which is a difference between the perpetual calendar and the perpetual secular calendar.
Yeah, let's give the listeners a breakdown of what the secular year is, because it isn't something that we commonly talk about. So every 4 years in the Gregorian calendar, we have a leap year in which February has 29 days rather than 28. However, on century years that are not divisible by 400, there is no leap year. Now, these are called secular years. They're quite rare. We will likely never see one in our lifetimes. The next one is 2100. There'll be one in 2200. There'll be one in 2300. But there won't be one in 2400, just as there was not one in the year 2000. So we lived through a rather rare event, only once every 400 years, a century year that is also a leap year. So this perpetual calendar doesn't just accommodate for the leap years up until the next secular year. It will accommodate for those secular years up until 2400. Am I right?
Mm-hmm. So you're right.
Good. Okay, well, that's a pretty impressive thing to have in 25 components.
25. Normally, I think perpetual calendar module will have, I think, 80 to 100 piece components, I think. And the secular module can just the secular module can have, I think, 15 to 20 pieces, even more. Our secular module has only 5 pieces. So no, it's quite small and quite short, but it's really interesting. So why the secular calendar? Because Dominic Ono developed like few months ago a perpetual secular calendar in a wristwatch, but with the secular years calculated for 10,000 years. So it's a 10,000 years perpetual secular calendar. And he developed that. It's a super complex watch he developed with Julien Tixier for the GPHG occasion last year. And so he had, this 35-year experience from a simple perpetual calendar, pocket watch, engraved, etc., to this 10,000-year secular calendar, which will calculate everything, and us with that kind of approach to the as a public approach, if you want, a general approach. So we also want to educate in our own level, but we want to educate people on complication and to not be something closed, but something more open, more affordable complication we want. So the technical line will be something about affordable complication, not affordable in the way of choosing cheap materials, but affordable in the way of simplify technically the complication. That's why we patent that. Dominic patent this for new watch, and we would use this module. And in the future, we also have another patent waiting.
That's a good question. So what are your upcoming releases going to look like? What can we expect from all 3 lines, the Mecha Quartz, the mechanical, and from the technical?
So Mecha Quartz line, we will remain with we have now a permanent collection. So we will, a permanent can be a 1 year permanent. Then we will change also. But it's like I like this kind of gastronomic restaurant where you have only a small menu, but it change over the seasons. People have this in their house. They know what to eat, and they come back because the season will change. And this is more interesting than having a 60-page of menu, and the choice are completely. You are lost if you have too much choice. If you give too much choice, people are lost. That's why we need to have like a permanent collection with 3 different dials. Then on top of that, you will have exclusive collaboration or collaboration with artists. We will have also limited edition. So it's like in a restaurant, you have a signature menu. You have maybe a collaboration with another chef, and etc. And that's why I like to do this kind of parallel as well. So the ship. So for the Mecha Quartz line, we will have a new release coming soon this summer. An important retailer, quite well known, historical. So we'll do that. We did one the first year of the company. We did one with Sediki in Dubai. This one will be something different this summer, and also we will do a collaboration with an artist, a French artist, very fresh, very based on the Mecha Quartz, but something fresh, something we never done before in terms of just changing a small things, but it's fresh, it's nice also to do. And then the mechanical line we will have this year. It's not collaboration; it's more special edition, if you want, with someone in the Middle East, and we had the royal approval of the court of a country to use their logo, and we will have like a pre-order of 2 days for everyone, so everyone would be able to have that piece, and not to say like, okay, we did only 100 pieces, 200 pieces, etc. No, we would do 2 days pre-order, everyone is welcome. We can do 100, 200, 2,000, 5,000, and we will do 10. But then it will be closed, and all the history or the small history of Marri will be 2 days, and then we will not do this piece anymore. So it's an interesting piece to come as well, the end of the year.
It sounds brilliant. I have one more question for you. Okay, one thing to end on, something looking ahead. More and more we're seeing brands working with other brands. Now, I want to know if you could work with any other brand on a intra-industry collaboration, so a watchmaking collaboration. Which brand would you like to work with?
Well, I love MB&F, but maybe it's a dream. We will see. But I love MB&F since the beginning. The team, the people behind the brand, the spirit, and we are really, really close, as almost neighbors in Geneva. So we talk to each other a lot. But it's more the idea for now. Another brand would be. I don't know. Now I work with Dominic, so we invent this kind. What is interesting with Dominic is that we can have this kind of independent watchmaking approach in terms of inventing things with the affordable, young, digital brand world. So it's very interesting to this kind of approach as well for us. The parallel we can do with the watchmaking independent ones and the independent and us. So for now, it's like this.
Brilliant answer. And I don't think you're dreaming too much to mention MB&F. You never know. I mean, they've shown to be a brand that thinks sideways and definitely works outside of the lane that they're used to having success within. So who knows what the future may hold. Andrea, thank you very much for coming on the show and sharing with us the insights into your brand and also the upcoming Only Watch piece, which I'm sure people will be interested to see in real life, as I am as well. Good luck with everything in the future, and we'll get you back on shortly to discuss how Furlan Marri is developing further. If you have any questions for Andrea or you have any questions for our future guests, then please feel free to get in contact via the usual channels. You can contact me on Instagram at RobNuds, that's ROBNUDDS, or at Alon Ben Joseph to contact my regular co-host, that's ALONBENJOSEPH, or you can contact us via our emails at either Rob or Alon at therealtime.show or via the contact form on the website www.therealtime.show. We will be back next week with another interview with one of watchmaking's finest. Until then, stay safe and keep on ticking.